Hi, welcome everybody, it's Mike Newton down here at Lynn Golf Academy. I've got a TaylorMade driving iron head-to-head here, and this is what I'm quite excited to sort of do here because I've got the P790 UDI, which is currently in my bag. Okay, this is my 2 iron, which I absolutely love, and I'm going to put it up against a new GAPR LO driving iron that's just come out from TaylorMade. So UDI was a very short shelf life here with TaylorMade. It's limited edition. It came out, it didn't last long. It was very, very popular, sold out extremely quickly, and obviously TaylorMade have now launched the family of GAPRs here, and I've got the GAPR LO. So I'm going to put these two head to head here and see if I see any differences between these two driving irons. They're both 2 irons here. I've got GC2 HMT set up here, so we'll look at some data. I'll give you some personal feedback of looks and feel, and we'll see maybe which one possibly suits me better, and maybe if the GAPR can take over the P790 in my bag. Okay, so the GAPR LO has just sort of been launched from TaylorMade. I've done an in-depth review with GAPR LO mid and high, which you can go and check that out. I'll put a little link up and there. You're going to go and have a little look at that in a bit more detail. But I'm going to put it up against my P790 UDI. So both of these are 2 irons. Both are 17 degrees of loft. And I'm going to maybe just see, for me personally, I'd like to see this sort of low penetrating flight. This 2 iron is a club and an option for me off the tee. And I've always sort of grown up with a 2 iron, 1 iron in the early days off the tee. So it is a club that suits my eye. It is a club that I like to see coming out a little bit lower, especially when it's windy as well. So the piercing flight is definitely something that appeals to me, which is one of the reasons why the P790 originally went in my bag. So I'm going to start with the P790 because that is my current gaming club. Now, obviously this P790 is absolutely spec'd up to me perfectly here. So I've got an X Flex in here. It is a couple of degrees up right now. The GAPR LO unfortunately isn't spec'd up. It is only a stiff and it isn't upright on the lie angle here. So it isn't exactly tuned in to me. So I've got to maybe just take that into account when we look at these sort of numbers. But I'm going to start with the P790 first. Okay, let's get this first one here. Okay, so very low flight there. Wasn't the best of strikes there, a little bit low in that club face, but it's still done all right. It's got that low penetrating flight, 214 yard carry there, lost a little bit there through that strike. Yeah, it's beautiful. Feels really solid, that. Really do enjoy this P790 UDI. I mean, it's quite a slim lock. Obviously, this is like a brush chrome sort of finish to this, whereas the GAPR is obviously gone in that dark finish here, but it's a much tighter club face with the UDI against the GAPR. And I'll put a couple of images up and you can have a look at these side by side here. But when I put that UDI down, I'm just seeing a slight bit of that back section past the top line, but only literally slightly. So it is very much a compact iron sort of look there. So that CG is getting really pushed forward, which is going to give you that, I'm guessing that sort of lower sort of launch here. Hit another one. Oh, feels awesome. Such a penetrating ball flight that. Yeah, really good strike. So that's kind of around that sort of 230 area, which is typically, yeah, 231. That's typically the area I'd probably expect to pitch this sort of club of mine here, this UDI 2 iron. Yeah, nailed that. That's a really good strike. Yeah, kind of around that 230 mark yet again. Okay, so there's 4 shots hit with the P790 UDI there. I'm going to move into the GAPR LO, batch of shots with that, and then we'll look at some numbers in a little bit more detail. Okay, so we've got GAPR LO in our hands here now. So obviously a new launch from TaylorMade here, and probably a sort of direct replacement for the UDI here. But for me, it's a different shape of head here. It's a little bit more chunky than the UDI, and that's what I mentioned before. The UDI, we just saw that slight bit of that back section just poking out. With this GAPR LO, we see quite a lot more. So it's definitely a bit chunkier in that sole section here. More weight sort of being pulled back. We've got that screw in that back section of the head, a little bit scooped out area in the back. We've still got the speed slot in the bottom of the club, which we see in that UDI. But this is adjustable, so a little bit more adjustability obviously than UDI, so that's maybe an extra sort of bonus there in a way that we can sort of knock this loft around a little bit more. But I'm going to keep this at 17 degrees, which is the same as what I've got in mine, and yeah, this isn't exactly the same shaft here, and it is only stiff, so we'll play a little bit softer here, but so we'll just have to maybe take that into account. Let's get this first one hit here though. That's a solid strike. Just turn that over a little bit there. But came out really fiery off the club face, hit that really well. A little bit of a louder sound there. Now both have got speed foam inside these, but that maybe just sounds a little bit louder acoustic wise off the club face there compared to the UDI. So I do enjoy the look of this blacked out head with the black shaft as it all sort of blends in. Just that bottom white groove there just helps a little bit with alignment and just sort of helps frame that ball a little bit at address. So it is a nice looking golf club here. Right, that's really low in the face, but that's obviously come out low because I've hit that low in the face. But it's done all right. I think this is maybe where GAPR LO to me looks more forgiving. Again, it's very hard to sort of test that, isn't it? But it does look more forgiving with that extra bit we see at the back there. It just looks a little bit more like I've got a bit of leeway there if I do miss the club face. Maybe more than the UDI there. That doesn't really bother me too much, to be honest, but I think it's just a nice sort of backup really that you've got there with that little bit of extra forgiveness. That's a nice strike. Again, just leaked a tiny bit right there. Okay, it seems to be coming out quite a similar height there. Again, bear in mind I haven't quite got the exact same shaft in here. It seems to be coming out similar sort of height there. Okay, I'm just going to hit one more. Yeah, nice. I do like that. Just a little bit louder on that acoustics. It feels a little bit more forgiving, which is a good thing. Look-wise, probably edging towards my UDI. I probably prefer that slimmer look. It looks like I can get that going a little bit lower if I sort of needed to, and I probably could do the same with this, in all honesty. But I think I've just, you know, the question is, would I change from what I've got at the moment to the GAPR LO? Bit of a price difference here. You know, these are more expensive than the UDIs. Would I spend that extra money when I've already got a UDI to the GAPR LO? Probably not. I'll probably stick with my UDI, but maybe if you haven't got that and you're looking for a new driving iron, then GAPR LO. Again, maybe I have to go and test these. Hard to maybe get hold of the UDIs now with them being a little bit more limited. And TaylorMade obviously sold out, so maybe getting hold of those at this stage and filming this maybe a little bit harder, but obviously then you might go into more that GAPR LO. I like that adjustability though. You've got that option there to knock this down a little bit more if you just wanted to fine tune that ball flight a little bit more. But let's go and look at some numbers in a little bit more detail between those two clubs. Okay, so let's look at some numbers here. So we can see UDI there with ball speed coming out 147.6, where the GAPR was 145.5. So a couple of mile an hour more ball speed with the UDI there. So a little bit hotter off the face there, to be honest, for that particular test anyway. There was a little bit more club head speed, granted, so that will just jump that ball speed up a little bit more there. Launching very, very similar there. Spin very, very similar. And to be honest, I'm quite surprised that I don't normally get it as high as that. Maybe a couple of sort of slight low strikes there, just pop my spin up a tiny bit there. I mean, in all honesty, I'm not firing all full swings. I've got a little bit of a neck injury, so I don't feel like I'm giving it 100% in terms of my swing that I would normally do. But a little bit higher on the spin there than probably what I'd like to sort of see that. So 225 against 223, very, very similar on that carry distance. In fact, the UDI is flighting a little bit higher there, peaking at 30 against the GAPR at 26, so I maybe expect that being the other way around. We've seen a little bit more of that back section of the club. Maybe thought this would sort of launch a little bit higher here. Obviously got options to go lower in the GAPR, which I think is a good option as well. Okay guys, so there we go, P790 UDI against the new GAPR LO from TaylorMade. So another quick relaunch here from TaylorMade. So some subtle differences are. Is it a direct replacement? Sort of, yeah. I think UDI it is different looking. It's not, I don't think it's as forgiving as that GAPR LO. So, you know, we look at the soles here, you see the GAPR LO is much wider on that sole, much more of that back section sticking out there. I think that's going to give us a little bit more forgiveness. So I don't think it's a direct replacement really. Obviously we've got an extra feature where we can dial in the loft a little bit more with the adjustable neck sleeve on the GAPR LO, which I think is a good sort of option there for the guys who maybe just want to fine tune it, or that windy day they just want to drop that launch down a little bit more. They can just adjust that before obviously they go out and play. For me personally, I've got the UDI. I do enjoy that. I like the flight, I like the feel, I like the look. So would I change the GAPR LO? Probably not, no. If I didn't have maybe the UDI and I had something different, depending on the flight, and obviously this is where you've got to go out and get tested and get fitted yourself. You know, I think GAPR LO would be definitely one I would go out and try. Okay, so let me know your thoughts on those two clubs there, guys. You know, UDI, have you got a UDI? Would your GAPR be something you'd be interested in looking at, or not? You know, let me know your comments. Fire some feedback down below. If you're enjoying the videos, obviously hit that thumbs up button, share the video around so anybody think you'd be interested in these driving iron sort of comparisons here. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, very much appreciated. I hope you're enjoying the content I'm producing. Hopefully I'm going to get a lot more out to you as soon as I can over the coming months and years, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.